Here we go.
Thank you, Naomi and Vincent. Now that's what you call real teamwork. Yeah. Hey, good morning, everyone, on a Saturday morning. Thanks for being here with us at 9 o'clock a.m. We're excited to have you here. And this is just really a great opportunity for us to share more information about Rotary. And so it's a time for you to have an opportunity not just to absorb information, but to also ask any questions that you have as well. And I see we even have one of our current presidents on board. Gwen. So it's great to see you folks. Enjoy the session.
Okay. All right, folks. Yes, and like Sandy said, we will have an opportunity to do some questions at the end. If something just jumps out at you, put it in the chat, and then we'll address it as soon as we're done. The presentation itself doesn't take a long time, just a few minutes. But then after that, we'll have a great time or some opportunity to have questions, and we'd actually like to get to know you folks better as well. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, just so that we can kind of get a better feel for the people who are joining us today. So I'm going to share my screen today, and here we go. Okay, so I can't see any of you guys. Oh, okay, now you guys just sort of popped up over here, so I'm able to see at least Sandy. So let's kind of roll through this. We're District 5000, Hawaii. This actually is a picture of one of our Kona clubs at a fundraising event. We're a group, a very diverse group, spread across our state of all different ages, shapes, sizes, occupations, and so we're a very, very active group. Okay, let's see. You know, this thing always... All right, there we go. So Rotary is an international service organization. It's across the entire world. There's over 1 million Rotarians, and we're going to get to the kind of the factual numbers here in a minute. But our basic job, or our basic purpose out there, is to do great things for our world, for our communities, and for ourselves as well. We'll talk about Rotary's mission statement at the end of this presentation. Our core values, and there's a whole bunch of them that are on the screen right now. The ones that we focus on is really fellowship, diversity, that we're a very diverse group, that we have integrity, service, leadership, and you can see some of the other ones that are on this slide. That we're a networking group, ethical, membership, community-oriented group. And so as we kind of go through this presentation, you'll see more and more examples of some of the things we're seeing on the screen today. Now, we're a network of 35,000, okay, get that, 35,000 clubs around the world in over 200 countries. So by this map, you can see the density of where Rotary is in everywhere around the world. Okay. So for Rotary International, like we were saying, there's 35,000 clubs, 1.2 million Rotarians across the world. There are 10,000 Rotaract clubs, and Rotaractors are young Rotarians. Typically, if you're in Rotaract, that age group is 18 to 35 years old. There's 183,000 Rotaractors around the planet. And then there's 25,000 Interact clubs. And Interact clubs are school-age kids, basically from about 6th grade, from 12 to 18 years old, are people that are in our Interact clubs across the world. And there are almost or over 500,000 of those interactors around the world as well. We're divided into 537 districts in 35 different zones. And so every zone has a number of districts within it. And like we said in the previous slide, 220 countries across the planet. Our district, District 5000, we like to think that we're the best and the coolest and the most hip district. out there on the planet. That we do have 1,500 Rotarians in our state. That's 53 clubs, including two e-clubs who are online clubs. And an online club can actually have members from all over the world. So we have members in our online clubs that are from countries all over the planet. We have 7 Rotaract clubs. As I was saying earlier, Rotaract is basically 18 to about 35 years old. 30 Interact clubs, which are 12 to 18 years old, which are like our intermediate high school. And then we have 2 community cores. Okay, that's District 5000. That's basically all of Hawaii. So, like we were saying, we have a diverse group of people in Rotary. Our job primarily is to get out there and do good things for our community. So, service projects are kind of a key thing, and this is just a couple of pictures of some of these projects that we've been involved in. Sandy Matsui, who you heard from just a couple of minutes ago, is our current district governor. And the district governor in Rotary is an important, really important position. It's like the CEO of a big company. So you can imagine if you're the CEO of a company that has 53 offices and 1,500 employees spread out all over the state. So it's a huge, huge job that involves a lot of training. Sandy, I think, had 3 or 4 years of training. Every district governor gets a lot of training coming up to the year where they become district governor. And then, of course, after you're district governor, then there's all kinds of other stuff for you to do as well. Now, Sandy doesn't do this alone because, you can't do a super huge job like that alone. So she has a staff and here's a picture of 4 of them. There on the right, and a number of them in the picture as well. That includes district. We have a lot of district committees. We have youth committees, community service committees, international service committees. So there's lots of stuff to do. And then, of course, we have an entire network of club presidents, their officers, boards, committee chairs within the club. So lots of people involved in making Rotary function and do what it's supposed to do. Rotary was started in 1905 by an attorney named Paul Harris, and he basically started his initial premise really was to do business networking and to provide fellowship, and they called it Rotary because the meeting rotated from office to office with that first initial group of people that he got this group organized, and so they called themselves the Rotary Group. So, but within 5 years now, Rotary International was born because we now had clubs in other countries besides the U.S. And then by 1925, there were Rotary clubs on 6 continents. So the concept of Rotary began to really spread around the world, starting with Paul Harris in 1905. Now, the first Rotary Club in Hawaii was chartered in 1915, so it's over 100 years old, with just 29 members. And that building, that old building that's downtown, was the McCandless Building, and that was the site of our first Rotary Club in Hawaii, the Rotary Club of Honolulu. Now, Rotary has 7 areas of focus, which means here are the things that that Rotary tries to focus its energy and its resources and its volunteerism towards these 7 things. Now you see 6 of them on the screen, and there's one more which we'll get to in the next slide. But promoting peace is an important one. So everywhere in the world where there's conflict, we try to help nations and people by promoting peace, fighting disease. When Rotary took on the elimination of polio back in 1984, their design really was to put all of the resources that they had, including hundreds of hours of volunteer time, well, thousands of hours, in trying to eradicate polio around the world. And to this date, they just about got it. We have some polio cases in the Middle East that are kind of popping up a little bit, but for the most part, they've with Rotary's help, they've gone around vaccinated and pretty much wiped out polio off the face of the earth. Providing clean water and sanitation is an important one because we seem to take for granted sometimes, clean water and sanitation, which are readily available to us. But for the rest of the world, it's a super challenge every day. So we have global grants and service projects around the world to help provide clean water and sanitation. We work with mothers, helping to save mothers and children. In some of these lesser developed countries, it's really a challenge for for mothers to have children and support the children and to raise them. So Rotary does a lot along those lines. We actively support educational endeavors everywhere. And so, as you'll see in some of the slides going forward, we do a lot of work in schools. And then also helping to grow and develop local economies, helping people to develop jobs, develop skills, supporting different types of industries in developing countries. Now, in the last couple of years, we added a seventh area of focus, which is protecting the environment. And so, as the slide says, more than $18 million in foundation global grant funding has been allocated to environment-related projects over the last 5 years. So that is a huge one. With the advent or the coming of, global warming and some of these other environment-related issues that we have around the world, Rotary is taking the forefront in helping that to happen. So, if you're new to Rotary or don't know much about Rotary, you're probably wondering, though, so what do Rotarians do? So let's dive into that one. Basically, we solve problems. That's what Rotary does. So no challenge is really too big for Rotary. I mean, taking on something gigantic like polio is not an easy task. But when you have over a million members, and 35,000 clubs, you can tackle gigantic projects like that. So, like as the slide says, we've immunized over 2.5 billion children against polio, and they'll continue to immunize them until we have eradicated completely the disease of polio. But now we're looking at, could be COVID, right? Could be something more, because the world is never going to be without problems. Yeah, let's see. Folks, trying to get my slide to go here. Okay. We work together. So Rotary came up with a new vision statement. I'll talk about it at the end. But basically, one of the tenets of that is for us to take action. Because we know that, if we're going to do anything that's going to affect the world positively, if we're going to do anything that's going to make significant and lasting change, that we need to take action. We need to be people that are actually going to do things. So Rotary, one of our themes now, we're branding ourselves as people of action. Now we have regular meetings. Now, this picture here on the right is my club. I'm with the Rotary Club of South Hilo. Typically, clubs have a weekly meeting. Now, of course, a lot of clubs are doing it virtually or a combination of virtual and in person. So we do have regular meetings. Some clubs don't meet every week, but they meet at least a couple of times a month. And so these meetings are the basis of a lot of things that we're able to accomplish as a group. We serve our community. So every single club has a community service chair or somebody that works on developing community service projects. And in our state, we're actually really fortunate that we do have a lot of nonprofits, at least in East Hawaii where I live. The nonprofits are always approaching us to to support whatever projects they're doing. So we never run out of things to do as far as serving our community. And those of you who live in other areas of the state know that there's always lots of stuff that can be done in terms of serving community. We work with youth, and so all the way from elementary school, all the way up through college age kids. We have youth programs. Our our RILA program, which is Rotary Youth Leadership Academy, happens every year in multiple places across the state, and that's really targeted towards high school kids to give them some training and leadership, and then also to develop some interpersonal and group types of skills that they can develop from being part of Rotary. And then across the planet, there are all kinds of programs, and we'll get into more of them. The kinds of programs that Rotary does that involve youth. We connect with our school community. So these are some pictures of some of the kinds of things that we do in schools. Rotary has long had a dictionary project, and I know a lot of kids don't actually have like a paperback dictionary, but we develop or distribute thousands of these dictionaries to fourth graders across our entire state. We raise money to get backpacks, slippers, school supplies, all kinds of stuff that supports our kids. And then we have an active in-class program where we'll come and do reading to kids as young as kindergarten. And we're just very, very actively involved in schools because, as we said earlier, one of our big areas of focus is to focus on education. We do leadership development. And so within our district, we actually have a district leadership academy where people who have served as a president of a club can go on and do further leadership development so that we can develop leaders at the district level. But this year we're starting a basic kind of a leadership 101 for anybody that's interested in learning more about leadership within Rotary. And we find that a lot of the young professionals that are joining Rotary now, they like to have leadership development or leadership training as something that they can use and take into their business and professional world. We support a lot of our nonprofits that are out there, and those of you that are in Rotary now know that we support nonprofits like Boys and Girls Club, Blue Planet, Salvation Army, people that are out there as their job to provide food, supplies, teaching, instruction, sometimes just cleaning up the highways. Wherever there's anything good going on, Rotary is nearby. So we do a lot to support our nonprofits. And actually, our government really depends on Rotary a lot because we're able to do a lot of stuff that our government and nonprofits can't do because we tend to be able to move a little quicker. We can raise money. We can zero in on a particular project or particular need that somebody has, and then bingo, people of action, right? That's what we do. We can also respond to local and worldwide crisis. A couple of years ago, you might remember that over here in East Hawaii, lava just started spewing out of our streets. And what was an amazing thing is that Rotary clubs all over the world, because we're here in East Hawaii, just began sending us checks, just saying, hey, we want to support this, we want to do this, want to help you guys. And so we were able to do a lot. Rotary was able to do a lot just responding to that crisis. And in other places across our state, when there have been floods, hurricanes, all types of natural disasters, our Rotarians have basically mobilized to contribute to, whatever the civil defense or the county is trying to do there to help with a critical disaster response. All right, so you're thinking, all right, if I join Rotary or be a part of Rotary, or if I'm in Rotary now, what's in it for me, right? So first and foremost is that you have an opportunity to connect with community leaders. A lot of the people that are involved in Rotary are well connected into Rotary. Like you can see our picture of our governor there. Here's our former mayor on Hawaii Island, Harry Kim, hanging out with Rotarians, because we are people on the move. We are people of action, and people tend to kind of migrate towards us. So if you're a person that likes to be connected or wants to be connected to community leaders and learn about community leadership, Rotary is an excellent place to be. We help transform our communities. This is a groundbreaking for Centennial Park. A lot of our Rotary leaders were involved in that, and Rotary was actually in the forefront of developing this whole thing. So we like to believe, and we can see the impact that we have on our communities out there, and that is one of the things that Rotary really takes pride in, is having a terrific impact on our communities and what they're trying to do out there. We talked about the development of your leadership skills, that there's lots of opportunity in Rotary to develop leadership skills that can help you as in your professional business career. Lots of opportunity and training at a terrific level. In our district alone, I mean, we probably do nearly 100 different trainings of all kinds, just kind of like the one that you're sitting in right now, to help our membership develop leadership skills across the board and across our state. One of the huge things that I learned in Rotary is just the development of these lifelong relationships. And there's people like we have 3 members in our club that are Rotarians over 50 years. One of them is still active member in our club, Harold Ohata, had 50 years of perfect attendance. That means every single week came to his Rotary meeting. And one of the reasons that people join Rotary and stay with Rotary is that they develop these friendships with the people that are in Rotary, because they're like-minded people, they're service-minded people. They have a mission in their life beyond just themselves, and when you get around people like that, you want to stay around people like that. So part of the reason that people join Rotary is to develop these lifelong relationships. It's really a nurturing environment for families. I know my family, I got a picture kind of like this with about, 12 members of my family, because when we do a fundraising event, nobody can get out of that. I mean, I just put a shirt on all of them. They start at a really young age, and it's been a great environment for them to learn about service, to learn about having a purpose in life beyond just yourself, to learn about serving your community, and to learn some of the basic values, like integrity, like leadership, kindness, So it's a great environment for families. So if you have a family, it's really a wonderful environment for them to be in. And then really a chance to grow as a human being. I know that, in the years that I've been involved in Rotary, I've begun to see things. My perspective about things has matured a lot, and so I think people see that as one of the great advantages and one of the real value propositions in being involved in Rotary. And so the last thing is I wanted to share Rotary's vision statement. So in the middle of the last decade, Rotary began to develop a new direction for themselves. And so, after years of really kind of going back and forth and surveying their members across the planet, they developed this vision statement. And basically, it's really simple. It's together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. So they ask us to do three things that really are on the top of every Rotarian's mind, right? They ask us to unite, they ask us to take action, and they and they and they ask us to create lasting change, and not just like in our communities and across the globe, but really in ourselves. And that's where it kind of takes it all comes together for Rotary. So um, that's kind of our presentation for today. So thanks for sitting through that. I want to open it to any questions or comments that anybody would like to have about Rotary. And luckily, we have a lot of you know Rotary resource people here to answer the questions. Okay, anybody, or you can just put it in the chat if you don't want to turn your camera on or be seen today. Okay, so Naomi or Sandy, you want to add that, or Maria, I see you unmuted yourself, so that means you're going to ask a question, which is great.
I don't know if Sandy had something to add or if I should just start asking questions.
Yeah, ask questions. That's great.
Okay, well, I'm that kind of Rotarian that prepared questions ahead of time.
Oh, good. We love that. We love that.
If we want to attend a meeting at another club, is there like best practice? Should we contact that club ahead of time and announce that we would like to attend? What's the proper way to do that?
Okay, I'm gonna. I've been talking for half an hour. I'm gonna let Naomi and Sandy field the question. So either one of you guys, you're welcome to take that one on.
Maria, restate that for me again so I can get a better go ahead.
Okay, if we want to attend a meeting at another club,
Yes.
is there a proper procedure for doing so? Do we contact them ahead of time? Yeah, and I know that there's also, especially if we have these e-clubs now where, and some of the clubs are posting, like you'll put out a newsletter and you'll say, at this meeting, this is happening or that's happening. And even with community service projects, should we reach out to them ahead of time and say, oh, I'm a member of this club and I'd like to attend? What's the proper etiquette for that?
I think when it comes to joining Rotary Club meetings, they are open meetings. I think that you as a Rotarian are welcome to attend anywhere in the world. But if we're talking about etiquette, what I am learning is that each club even has its own etiquette as to how it's done, right?
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
so especially during this Zoom time, you can only get Zoom access if you contact the club directly.
Okay.
And Zoom information is not publicly posted, right?
Okay.
So from that standpoint, that's not a means to keep you from attending, because of course Rotarians are welcome, right?
Okay.
But does that make sense, that especially during these times when meetings are held online and there are some security issues of letting people in?
Right.
Those are some things that you just need to contend with. But if you go on the district website, the links are there for the events. If you click on it on the calendar,
Right.
right? So you can get it, or you just are asked by many clubs, like on their Facebook posts, to contact the club directly by clicking onto that link.
Okay. And in terms of service work, is that the same, that we should click on the link and tell them that like we're interested in coming and doing that project with them?
You know, we have some club folks here, and it would be good to hear from you folks as well. Sometimes it depends on the situation. For example, like if it's a youth service project, then there's probably some additional maybe background checks or things that might need to be taken into consideration, right? But in
Right.
general, Alan Kamimoto is here. He would be a great one to help us out. He's so engaged with service projects.
Go for it, Alan.
Well, all clubs are always real interested in service projects and getting help. And that's why Benson talked about working together because, you know, especially a small club like ours, we have a small club, 17 people, and but the number of people I can get out on projects because people work and, you know, they work on weekends. We put out the word and we get a lot of support. So that's why working together, we can get a lot of help. But I wanted to answer your question, Maria. That was a real good comment about how you join other clubs. Now, I was in the Army Reserve for 30 years, and I used to go on deployments to other countries. And you contact a Rotary Club in that area, and you can join the meetings. I used to join meetings with my military uniform, and they would have interpreters for me.
Wow.
So I get to sit in on the meeting. After the meeting, they do special things for me, take me around or whatever. But you know, it's a great way to really get to see another country besides through the tourist eyes, but actually being on the ground and really working with Rotarians, find out what kind of projects they do. You know, I learned so much from international meetings for Rotary. So that's another opportunity for making up meetings.
Okay, that sounds great. I like that.
I'll just jump in also. Hi, Maria, this is Gwen. I'm from the Rotary Club of Honolulu. I put it in the chat, but you know, you're welcome at any time. You can either look at, and I will put our events calendar in the chat also, but we list our service projects and all our meetings. Some of the meetings, like our regular meetings, have the Zoom link. You're welcome to even come to a board of directors meeting if you're interested in listening in. So in that case, then just email our administrator and she will send you the link, but I'll put it in the chat. Thanks.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I also noticed that there are like Facebook groups and then there are fellowship groups. What's the difference between a Facebook group and a fellowship group?
Maria, this is Naomi. So the Facebook groups are just informal. You can join the group, but for fellowship, we have about 90 fellowships that we have around the world for Rotary. We also have action groups. And so if you go to rotary.org, type in fellowships, you'll get the whole list of fellowships that you can join. And those are mostly for crafts or social or sports groups, informal, whereas the action groups are for humanitarian focus areas where you can join a group internationally. But if you look on the district website on the bottom, there's a link to the map of all of our clubs. So if you wanted to join, to find out when someone is meeting, you can go to their website, and sometimes they have the link in there for their Zoom meetings. Sometimes you have to call them. So you can go there, but also on the rotary.org, there's a find a club. So if you're in another country when we're not in COVID, you can look up that website for the other clubs and see if you can join them. So sometimes you know, they're not meeting every week. Sometimes they have a dress code. So you would want to go to their website and find out about it.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, and do some clubs have like sister clubs or partner clubs and help other clubs out?
Many of our clubs do have sister clubs in other countries. So you would need to check with that club. And if you're with your own club, you'd like to suggest one. The only thing with sister clubs, it's informal, but there's a lot of obligations with a sister club because everybody wants to come to Hawaii, right?
That's funny. Okay, I think I've run my questions.
So Maria, I also wanted to add is that a lot of clubs, you know, work collectively with the clubs that are in their area. So, for example, in East Hawaii, there's 5 clubs here, and so we try to coordinate to do service projects. Maybe two of us, maybe three of us. In the case of the lava eruption, there, all five of us rebuilt a school out here. So
Wow.
it's very common for Rotary clubs to join forces and work together exactly the way that Alan had said. Even if you're in a smaller club or you're in a bigger club, if you work collectively, it's a lot easier to get stuff done, and of course the impact is a lot greater. Those are good questions. So wow, we rarely have anybody who prepares before they come to the meeting. So hats off to you. We'll have to keep an eye on you because you could be district governor someday. So okay, any other questions, comments out there? I see there's a number of you on here today that are not newcomers to Rotary. So perhaps you'd like to comment on some of the stuff that was said today, or the questions that are asked or being asked. Should we call on people? Yeah, that's always really good. Okay. Let's see. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, just to kind of emphasize some of the points that we went over, and I think Lawrence put it in the chat, is that this slideshow that we put together now, I mean, obviously it could be taken and shown to people outside of Rotary. And I think that one of the things that Lawrence suggested was, hey, could we make this slideshow available to anybody who wants to see it or is not in Rotary? And absolutely yes. This is a good, like I said, Naomi and I have been working on it for a couple of years, and we finally got it to a point where I think we've got all the information that we need to give to somebody who's looking at Rotary and maybe evaluating Rotary as, whether or not they want to be involved, what kinds of people are in there. So Lawrence, I see you on there now, so perhaps you want to comment on that. You just need to unmute yourself and rock and roll.
Okay, getting used to this.
Yeah,
okay.
No problem.
Okay, yes. No, this is great. I think you did a good presentation. Now we're trying to attract the young generation, myself too. And I think your 10-minute about Rotary was really awesome. So I hope somebody has a nice quick video of it that I could use at my club and put it as a dashboard, click, learn about Rotary at the local level. Yep, and not at the national level. So captured a lot of local spirit in Rotary. I've been here before. I see a fellow Rotarian Alan there. So as you can tell, yes, it's my second rodeo. So I'll be in next year. So I'm your president-elect for Pro Ridge next year.
Oh.
Yeah, that's super great. One of the things that in the leadership of our district is that we know that there are lots of Rotarians that are out there, except they don't know they're Rotarians yet, right? And they simply just need to be exposed or to be asked, or somebody needs to approach them about Rotary. And sometimes if you have some media like this that you can even just send it to them or walk them through it. Sometimes that's the reason why they would want to be connected to Rotary. Because I think the more that you find out, for those of us who've been in Rotary, I mean, I haven't been in that long, not like Alan or Sandy or Naomi, but the longer you're in it and the more you get to know about it, and then the more you start connecting with the people that are in it, man, it's the more sort of cemented you get in just that sort of line of thinking and that kind of lifestyle. So yeah, really appreciate those comments, and if there's any way in which we can help you guys out at any of your club meetings, I mean, I'm always available to talk at any club that will listen to me. I'm kind of one of those people that likes to talk, I guess. So Yeah, it will be a great opportunity. We have some great resources in our community. Okay, anybody else? Any other comments, questions? Put them in.
Benson, I thought of one other thing.
Great.
Okay, so I did like that your video and presentation very much. I thought it was a great kind of macro on the greater Rotary organization, and it definitely would be very helpful, especially when we're introducing Rotary to potential new members, to kind of give them a nice intro. But I think it would also be like, for new members, it would be really helpful if we could have some kind of similar overview of the board and what the board jobs are and what those specific roles are, and kind of like this is what a Rotary meeting is 101 kind of thing. What just because I think people will eventually learn it, but for some people who have served on boards before, it will help them understand the differences between Rotary and other organizations. And especially for young people who have never served on a board, it will help them understand, like, okay, there's a structure and people are doing these different roles, and what each one of those different groups is focused on, because that was kind of, and still is for me, kind of confusing. And I feel like the new members, we're kind of like this, we're the pandemic class. We're either hybrid or Zoom, or so we have a little more of a disconnect and a little bit of a harder time trying to figure it out. And so maybe maybe we need a little more help to get started. But I think to keep people kind of invested and moving forward, we might need a little bit more of that kind of support. And I've gone on the big website and looked around and everything else, and I just kind of feel like I'm always going down the rabbit hole. Like I'm finding this and finding that, but I get lost. So maybe it's there, but I can't, I'm not getting right there. And nobody ever said, here's 3 links. Here's Benson's wonderful presentation, and this is overview 101. And the first week they send me that. And then the second week they send me, overview 202. And this is like what your local board structure looks like and what meetings are, so that I'm digesting it all and I really get it and I'm ready to go.
Well, Naomi's already ready to answer it, so I'm gonna toss it over.
Is Naomi chomping at the bit
Well,
here?
she's the pandemic district governor, so I'll let her respond finally already, because, so go ahead, Naomi, I'll let you go. Go for it.
Okay. So Maria, we recognize that is a weakness, that we needed to do more training for boards. So we did start board training. And so we talked about how the board works and Robert's Rules of Order and some other things, governance. Yeah. So we will be continuing that series for board training. So the next one is October 2nd. At 9:00 for board members. And we'll have that once a quarter, and also at the training assemblies in the spring.
Yeah, I just meant for the general people in the club to understand what these jobs are and who's doing what those roles are, and why we have this committee, that committee, what their function is in the club.
Well, we have a position called a club trainer. And we meet with the club trainers every month. And so maybe we can, Benson, remind the club trainers to do a minute, a Rotary minute at one of the meetings.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And Marie, I just want to add on that in addition to the great things that have already been developed, right? One of the things that the district membership committee this year we are working on is a series of the kinds of what you just mentioned. Because we are bringing in quite a few new Rotary members now, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
you have like a series of informational things and interaction and opportunities for you to even network with other Rotarians, especially the other new Rotarians. So
Right.
that's in the works. I want to put your name down. I think you've got some really good feedback and ideas to share with us that might help us. No pressure.
Okay. Okay.
All right, good. Anybody else have any thoughts, any ideas, any comments they want to share? I think that drilling down more into this sort of what's the basic structure. I think that's what you're asking for, Maria. So,
Yeah.
so what is the basic structure of a club? How does a club work? Okay, well, obviously there's a president, there's a board, there's a club trainer. What do all these guys do, and how does it all really come together to make that entity a really well functioning, well greased machine? And that's something that that every club sort of has its own culture that has been sort of determined by years and years of creating these processes. But there's some clubs like our club where we had basically a group that sort of managed and led the club for about 15 years, and then when I showed up and a few other people showed up, those guys sort of all left, and then our club sort of reinvented itself, and now we're sort of going in a different direction, pretty good direction. Brought some newer members in there, so clubs evolve over time, and part of what we have to do as Rotarians is to recognize that. So maybe
Right.
our
Right.
club to change the place where they meet, or now we're going to focus on this or whatever it is. But those of us who've been in Rotary a while understand that there's this constant evolution kind of going on, and that's why people like you are really valuable that come in and say, hey, what's this about, and who does this, and yeah, probably in a couple of years from now maybe you'll be the district trainer like me, and so because I sort of I got involved in Rotary, asked a lot of questions, and the next thing you know, I got a phone call from Naomi, and I had a job. So you're doing a really excellent job. Setting yourself up to do something, which is really great, and we like that. Okay, yeah, it was a really great session, and every time we do one of these, more people click in, and what's really great is that we have people who've been Rotarians for a long time. I see one of our former district governors, Ross Cooper, was on the call today. Gwen's on it. Alan joined us today. That have been around a lot, because one of the things about Rotarians is that they are lifetime learners, and even though Alan doesn't need to sit through a what's Rotary basic thing because he's been a Rotarian for decades, he's still interested in it. Still say, hey man, maybe there's something in there that I could learn. Maybe there's people in there that could use my help. So that kind of attitude and culture within our Rotary district that's one of the things that makes it super cool about a Rotarian in Hawaii. So, okay, folks, any last words? Sandy, Naomi, Alan, Lawrence, Maria, anybody before we sign off for today?
Good conversation. Thank you for the questions, and really another thank you. Mahalo for being here today.
Any clubs doing in-person meetings?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah?
there's a lot of them doing them. So
Okay. Okay, we're looking for members. So next Friday, we have the Stadium Authority speaking to us Friday noon. Any club members can also attend, trying to get our room full too ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's cool. Anybody else? Since we're all here, we're a captive audience. Any other announcements anybody would like to make on the behalf of themselves or clubs before we sign off for today?
Jack, I signed in just a bit late, but I need to know meeting today.
Okay. Jackie, is that you? Hi,
Yes,
Jackie.
Jack.
Yeah. Great.
Hi.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, folks. Well, if anybody doesn't have any other stuff, man, it was a great morning. Thanks for sharing it with us today. This was recorded thanks to Naomi, and so it will be available on the district website under Welcome to Rotary. So we alternate this about every other month. Next month, we're going to be starting our basic Leadership 101 class. And so those of you that are new to Rotary that want to understand a little bit more about Rotary and leadership and some of the things that we do, please join us. We're going to be kind of actively promoting that class through the district. It'll be Naomi and I leading it once again. So
All right.
thank you guys for your attendance today. Super good to see everybody. It looks like it's going to be a nice day up here in Volcano. So I'm going to go out there and enjoy it today. So I thank you guys and take care. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Benson.
Bye-bye.
Bye.